Well, good morning and welcome everyone to today's webinar with Energy Action, Green Auctions, the new way towards net zero. My name is John Huggart. I'm the CEO here at Energy Action. So a warm welcome to you all joining us today, and a warm special welcome to Julie Doe, our Senior Trading and Pricing Analyst here with the team. Welcome, Julie.
Oh, thanks, John. It's great to be here and looking forward to sharing some insights to our audience.
Yeah, very exciting day. And look, in terms of our audience today, so thank you again for joining us. I know through the power of the internet, many of our current client friends have joined us for this webinar today, and some future friends and some of those in the industry interested in this new way that we can achieve and work together towards net zero. So, look, I think, here we are, 2021, and so much has happened in the last year. Obviously, one thing was COVID, but something else has been going on. What have you noticed, Julie? What's been the big difference between, over this last year?
John, so we've seen a shift in the way businesses are thinking about taking action to put a plan in place into reducing their emission. As we can see here, our survey last year, we've uncovered that 80% of leaders want action against climate change, but surprisingly, only 24% of them are taking action. Fast forward a year later, our research from 2021 shows that approximately 75% of senior procurement leaders aim to achieve a net zero outcome by 2025. Again, this tells us many corporate clients have an established strategy, but are unclear on how to achieve their target. I'm really excited about the Green Auction, as it is a product designed to deliver corporates on their net zero strategies, which we'll discuss further shortly.
Yeah, okay. I think what's really interesting for me from this take, Julie, is we've moved from kind of the if discussion, if we're going to go for net zero, now we're going to when. We're having a discussion about when, and we see it, we read about it every day, and look at here a number of Australian global corporate leaders, many of our customers here as well, who are making those steps, making these claims, announcing their plans to go carbon neutral, to go 100% renewable energy, to achieve net zero. And I think that's an extraordinary step taken by corporate Australia and by global corporates, demonstrating their ambition to make their contribution to avoid the impacts of climate change. So I think that is quite compelling how this difference has evolved. Politically, it's kind of a different story. Although we've got most state governments aligned around a commitment to net zero, we know that at the federal level, there is still a divide, and we've got a Labor Party policy for net zero, and we've seen federal Liberal quietly talk about it, but not commit at this point. So it'll be interesting in terms of the election coming up in the course of the next 12 months. So this is the commitment that's out there, including ourselves, towards net zero. But how do you achieve net zero? And this is just a little bit of a pickup on the traditional plan to achieve net zero. So first of all, like any great plan, starts with a measurement. Where are you today? What is your carbon emission footprint? You've got to think about the technical elements here of scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 emissions. You've got to talk about the boundaries of your operations. And once you measure that, that's your starting point. How do you get down to zero? And the first place you've got to look through is with efficiency. Energy efficiency, I'm proud to say that I'm a board member of the Energy Efficiency Council of Australia, and we're all committed to finding efficiency as the first fuel you pick in terms of achieving net zero. Get those efficiencies, turn off the lights, more efficient air conditioning, more efficient industrial processes, electrification, all those opportunities to achieve reduced energy use. But beyond that energy efficiency dividend, we can also look to generating power yourself, those renewable energy on your own door, on your own rooftop, through solar, through that initiative on your premises. But sometimes you don't have access to a roof, or you've made every effort to maximize the use of your roof. So ultimately, you're still going to be buying some energy from the grid. And that procurement of grid-based electricity is our focus for today. And finally, there's going to be a scorecard that says there's still going to be some emissions that you need to offset outside of scope 2, perhaps, that can be achieved by carbon credit units. So that's your typical pathway. And as I said, today we'll be focusing on procurement and how we can achieve net zero with a new product that can help achieve those net zero goals. So Julie, today people are doing this, but how are they doing it so far? What have been their options?
Yeah, so some of the options available consist of current market products such as green power. So we all know green power is a government accredited and is also recognised a branded product within the industry. It's also flexible in regards to terms. So you can go short 12, 24, 36 months. However, it does usually come at a bit of a premium compared to the option that we see here, which is the wholesale LGCs. It involves voluntarily surrendering your LGCs in excess of your compliance requirements. It is a lower cost compared to green energy as you're purchasing it from an open market and you're not locked into a specific price or term. It's also highly flexible as it also allows you to actively manage your renewable goals. So for example, if your business is required to change your target from, let's just say 20 to 50%, there's flexibility in there as you're not locked into a contract. So recently, our customer feedback has indicated that, that our customers are looking for renewable energy that is linked to a specific asset, which is something that the green power and LGCs do not currently offer.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, that commentary. And I guess the way that people have been able to directly link to a specific generation source has been the power of the corporate power purchase agreements. And they've been really, really popular and really important for a number of large corporate clients to gain access to this market by effectively a direct link supply between a wind farm or a solar farm and their own business. Now, that's given a lot of great positives, of course. Great long-term commitment, potentially a fixed price or certainly price certainty or price pathway. The benefit of we've talked about is a direct link to a specific generation source. Look, I think it's something that we see as a complex and has a number of risks, including the complexity of the contract, which is often a little bit of a mountain for a high jump in terms of getting over the number of pages involved. There are risks when you take a long-term deal. You could be out of the money. There's counterparty risk. There's no competitive tension in terms of once you've actually negotiated a deal after you've gone through an early vetting process, you're probably still negotiating with the same party for a very long time. So you've actually lost some of that competitive tension. And in fact, for the accreditation that you're seeking to achieve, if you use one of the forms being a CFD, you may find that your corporate power purchase agreement may not meet your certification requirements. We'll come to certification a little bit later in the presentation. So I guess these are the ways you can achieve it today. There is flexibility, there are options, but there's an opportunity here as well. And look at this, by the way, just drawing attention here to green power has actually dropped. So business voting with their feet, the commercial purchase of green power has dropped from 1.2 terawatt hours per annum 2011 to 0.3 terawatt hours last year. So right now, we're interested in the new way to buy renewable energy. So that's what we're excited about today. It's the Eax Green Auction. It's a renewable-backed energy supply agreement. It's a standard energy supply agreement. It's a very simple process. It'll meet your net zero commitment requirements and certifications. There is a direct link to the generation source. And what we're really proud of and really excited about for our clients is it brings a competitive tension to this market. And we're offering it clearly because there's an obvious growing demand for green energy, renewable energy. And to be fair, the retailers did not have this product. I've been speaking to the retailers for over a year on this product and this opportunity. And I think the retailers have been participating with those other products that Julie referred to, certainly green power, LGC management, very actively involved in those products, lesser so on the corporate power purchase agreements. And so I think this is a real opportunity to bring the core energy retail market with this innovation and product to business customers across Australia. So let's talk about that. What is a green auction?
Yeah, so A green auction is the supply of electricity which is bundled with renewable energy in the form of LGCs. It is also traceable back to a specific generation source. So, for example, let's just say the Darlington Point solar farm. It gives the customer the right to claim their energy supply as renewable and where it came from. We call this a renewable back supply agreement, RESA. What we'll do is we'll release a contract specification outlining your green requirements and request the retailers to place a bid based on their specs. The winning bidder to propose prices that includes an assurance of traceability, which is quite important, so that the customer can claim, announce or promote their great percentage of renewable electricity to also promote their environmental credentials. So the bidder would manage and transfer the LGC certificates to achieve the customer's renewable objective, so the customer would not need to worry about it. As there will be a number of retailers bidding, this will also create a competitive tension for the customer as well.
Terrific. Thanks, Julie. I think that's very exciting. That is what a green auction is. And I think, and I've just seen, I should have let everyone know, obviously we will welcome your questions. I've seen a couple of questions just come through here, so I'll be able to respond to those in a moment, actually. So thanks for your questions. So I think on the Q&A section of the webinar, if you've got any questions, please jump in and we can provide those answers for you. So who's going to participate in this green auction? Well, we're really excited because we've, as many of you know, we've got a significant panel of all the key energy retailers, leading energy retailers around Australia, and many well-known brands there, many innovative retailers who can bring this product to market. And we draw attention to Momentum, AGL, Infigen and Shell, because we know that we've been actively involved and we know that they're going to be very active participants in our first green auction coming up soon. We will invite all of our retail partners, so all of those on the list there, plus more, will be invited because we know that this is going to be an important opportunity for clients in the future. So, and there's been a couple of questions about certification, so it's actually perfect timing for me just to talk about how you can use green auctions to meet your net zero commitments. So first of all, I guess once you commit to net zero, someone's going to say, well, are we there yet? And the are we there yet is going to be measured ultimately under some form of authority, either globally or locally, that are going to say, yes, what you've done is the right thing and you've met our requirements. At this stage, there's quite a number of disparate groups. There is the RE100, a very vocal and very active global group engaging with large energy buyers around the world, inviting them to commit to buying 100% of their renewable energy. And they've got a number of standards they need to be achieved to ensure that your access to a green auction will meet those certification requirements. And we're really pleased to announce there that against a lot of those different dimensions of authority, you know, is it verified, exclusive ownership, exclusive claims, the geographic market limitations, vintage, the contract with the suppliers, all those type of items being identified there meet their requirements. There are a number of those schemes across there. I've seen one question there, for example, is what is the best certification to aim for? Look, far be it from me to proclaim any one over another. What I can say is Energy Action as a business is making our application. We've already developed and published and shared our net zero plan on our website for the last year, seeking authority, seeking certification under our progress on that plan. We are seeking that through Climate Active. So that is one of the certification organisations. I'll just draw your attention to, in draft form at this stage, the Australian Government's Corporate Emission Reduction Transparency Report. That's in draft at this stage, and at the moment, that is suggesting that a swap or a CFD may not meet the requirements intended when a company proceeded with a corporate power purchase agreement. So just some error of an area of just ensuring that you do your due diligence before you hop into a corporate power purchase agreement to ensure that it's going to meet your net certification requirements. So let me just have a look at a couple of the other questions here. Which certification should we be targeting? So yeah, I've just answered that. What green energy certification is associated with green auctions? Look, what we've demonstrated here is these are the most popular, significant certification requirements that we've seen in the market currently. Most of the commitments have been made against one of those standards. And as you can see here, the green auction does meet those requirements. When we say NA, it's not that we don't meet it, it's just not a requirement of that specific scheme. There's a question here about the price difference. What price premium do we expect? What sort of percentage difference between a green auction renewable product and purchasing green energy from a retailer? So as Julie outlined, one of the benefits of the green power is quite flexible, quite short term. You can make it for 25% of your business or 100% of your procurement. You can get on, you can get off. But what that means is there's a lack of commitment from the customer to that product. And as you see, people voting with their feet, so it's less popular now. So one of the benefits that we see from the retailers involved in this product is they will get the benefit of the certainty of your commitment to green energy. They can back that project offtake against that in terms of their portfolio of sales. So we believe there should be a saving against traditional green power. So in response to that question we believe that that will result in a saving against traditional green power. How do I get indicative costs for green energy purchase through a green auction? Look, there's a couple of areas. The first thing we will look at and we will supply our customer as they come towards a green auction is the current prevailing LGC markets. That will give you an indicator on a calendar basis of prevailing market prices, and we will be looking for that as a benchmark to achieve savings against through the auction process. So let's just move on to wrap up with a couple more questions coming through as well. So we'll just jump into your summary here, Julie, and then I'll get back to a couple of those questions.
So our customer research indicates that there is a demand for a product that is simple, lower risk, in particular, shorter contracting periods, and lower transaction costs, which is what our resale product offers. The resale product is essentially a standard agreement with LGC traceability, making it an uncomplicated process to assisting our customers meet their net zero goals.
I think that point is about the green auction is really making it simple. You know, I think there was a question here about how will the cost compare to the PPA prices, and that's a really good question. First of all, we've got to clarify. I think Nikki, who's asked that question, that would be about a corporate PPA, which is from a grid, as opposed to a rooftop PPA, for example, on-site PPA, which is also popular for solar panels. Someone who provides the capital and just provides you a power purchase agreement from the panels located on your roof. But if we talk about cost compared to PPA prices, what we've seen is that they were very long term, and a number of the announcements have been made over the last couple of years have been denominated in prices set 1 or 2 years ago. And as we've seen now, the wholesale market has dropped significantly. So any savings that were apparently available maybe at the inception of those corporate PPA deals, and it's a risk that we called out to a number of our clients, may have been lost now. Because now there is often a price path set by contract or set by escalation terms, let alone other risks in the long-term contracts, such as price resets, firming contracts, and also the exposure to operational constraints, such as the ability now that has been imposed on many solar or wind farms to curtail or to make them responsible for alternative supply. So that's the type of issue with some of those corporate PPA prices. So it's very difficult to make that direct comparison because you're talking about a very long-term deal. That probably segues into another question here, is about the different terms. And typically, the contract terms we're talking about for these energy supply agreements with renewable energy as our green auction is the traditional timeframes of 2 to 4 years. So I think that answers David. That's one of the questions, and what we're saying is if we're targeting that traditional energy supply agreement, that's giving the maximum of certainty to both the retailers and the customers, and ensuring at the same time that they're able to demonstrate and meet their net zero commitments. The other question there, what timelines are we talking about in terms to set it up, and when bidding, how long for the contract period? So the long term of the contract period, as I say, typically we expect between 2 to 4 or 5 years. The timeframes in terms of talking about setting it up, look, as this will be the first green auction that we'll be launching in the near term, we expect the first one to be a settling period as people come back meeting the compliant requirement for the terms and conditions imposed in the specification that Julie outlined that we'll take to the retailers. But typically to set up an auction for us takes between 2 and 4 weeks. So David, to answer your question, we would expect that to be similar for this type of process. In terms of the, there was a question about neighbours at this stage, and one of the questions from the audience was about if your building is subject to neighbours and you're achieving your 5-star, 6-star rating reliant on green power, can the green auction be a substitute for green power to achieve those outcomes? And the question is, the RESA can be tuned in to be green power based, so that would meet that requirement. There would potentially be a pricing issue there, so we would just need to make sure that we maximise the competitive tension so that we can achieve that outcome. So I think the answer there is we'll meet the requirement, and because that is the current requirement for neighbours as well. Are there any other questions? Just realised we've just got a couple of minutes to go here now. Julie, with the auction process, I know you know this very, very well. You've been involved here at Energy Action for a number of years. And when we set up an auction, it's a really exciting process where the customer can see bids come in and all on an online platform. We also do that with our tender process. It'll be either through a communication with clients, keeping the clients informed of the price. So what would you see as an expectation for this first green auction, and what type of report or comparison will they see in terms of the transparency of bids coming in for their business?
Yeah, so they'll be able to see, I guess, the different retailers' offers, you know, where it's stacked, what the market's looking like, and also seeing, I guess, a decline as well in the forward markets in regards to green energy. So they'll be good for the customer, as you know, declining market's always better than uprising market.
So that's a really interesting point, isn't it? Because I think there's one of the questions is that LGCs are one of the tools that underpin this product. And as you're seeing at the moment, the long-term outlook for that is quite favourable in terms of pricing for clients.
That's correct, yes.
So right now, I haven't looked at the screen today in terms of LGC, but in terms of the future pricing, we're seeing that benefit drop down. So not only are we seeing wholesale price reduction for clients, evident now in the retail energy prices, and by the way, for all of you on the webinar today, you can always go to the homepage for Energy Action. And on our homepage is what we call the Energy Action Price Index. So if you know nothing else from today's webinar, but you want to know how much energy is going for in the market on any day, just go and have a look at our website, because that'll tell you. And we're running thousands of procurement events per year. And what we can tell you is the current prices of energy that business customers are entering into on typical energy supply agreements. At this stage, we're not publishing a green auction price index. We'll look forward to be able to do that in the future. Okay, so let's just see any more questions here. Is there a minimum size to the account to participate in a green auction? Yeah, that's a great question. We've had some of the retailers express interest that it would only be for 5 gigawatt hours and above, others that are more flexible to 2 gigawatt hours and above. So it's a great question, John. And for sort of smaller accounts, we would look at a green power mix or amongst their SME sites as well. So it is a great question. We think ultimately the market will determine this, but right now we will take a client with 2 gigawatt hours to the green auction process, and we're certainly talking to a lot of clients that are far in excess of that. I hope that answers that question. So for the type of size of clients we would look at. Just a note here, will you be sharing the recording or the slides after, please? I'll just check with the team here. The answer is yes. Woohoo! So we'll be doing that. And just a note here from one of our team as well, that, and to make the point, I guess, that LGCs is industry acronym for large scale generation certificates. So they're typically those arising from renewable energy generated by a wind farm or a solar farm. And large scale, typically larger than 99 kilowatts. That these certificates are the gold standard for renewable energy certificate and certification, and for carbon neutral energy generation. And those certificates are Australian government backed, well administered and well respected around the world. And I think that's really helpful for global clients who've got to report and share their progress towards global targets, and also for their ability to be well respected in your commitment to net zero here locally as well. Another question there, where can we find out more about the, are green options available for both WEM and NEM? Glad you are asked, and surprised that's not Simon who was asked, but Nicholas, thank you for your question. The answer is yes. So it is available in both the West Australian market, in the competitive market there, as well as in the NEM. Where can we find out more about the Australian cert, please? What I'll make sure is we've got a link to that draft certification, David, so we'll make sure we can include that either personally to you or when we distribute the recording today. The last question there, a couple more questions. Can one auction deliver a supply agreement throughout the NEM, or do we need to participate in multiple auctions for each jurisdiction? Oh, that's a question for you, Julie.
Yeah, so with the auction is state by state, but we're able to, if you prefer on one retailer, we're able to negotiate further as well. If we do go through the RFP process, it can be done as the one RFP. Yeah, so auction will be done state by state, and RFPs can be done together, but all the agreements will be on a state by state basis.
Terrific. Okay, and another question here: could Energy Action aggregate smaller accounts to participate in their green auction? You're thinking 3 steps ahead, John. Good question. Yeah, we're really excited about this product. I've got to say the team have been talking about this with clients the last 2 or 3 weeks, and we've had enormous interest. So we're really excited that we're looking forward to running the first of many green auctions soon. I think in respect of the aggregation opportunity, it's something that we're really alive to. So I think let's just have a chat about that and understand your requirements, because we believe that where there's a demand in the market, we can work with retailers to make sure and tailor a product that gets the best of the simplicity of a traditional energy supply agreement with the benefits of that direct link to renewable energy. And I think that in substance is what we're presenting here today. This is why we're excited about this product. This is why we know it's important. This is why we know that we will be successful in creating this competitive tension on what is an important product for Australian businesses going forward. So what can you do about it? The first thing is just to reach out. We've got a very friendly and national team all around Australia. They're energy experts in their own field. Feel free to reach out to me personally or any member of our team, and we can work with you to understand your net zero ambitions and also to help you achieve your net zero goals. So, Julie, thank you so much for joining us today. Any final words on the green auctions and what that means for customers?
No, not this
Nothing more than we've said already.
Yeah, that's
We've
right.
said it well. So thank you very much for your participation today. As I said, welcome all the team and any customers who'd like to engage further about the process. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Okay, bye.
Bye.